What happens to you after you die? What do you see? Where do you go? I've consulted the foremost experts, I've reviewed all the scientific studies, and now, finally, I can give you the truth. Okay, so I'm just another idiot talking out of my ass, but I have thought it through a bit, and here are my 5 best guesses about what the afterlife will be. I don't want to convince you of anything. Please go on believing whatever you feel like. My number 5 pick is heaven and hell. And for this one, basically, you die, somebody judges you, and you either go to a good place or a bad place. Depends on your past actions or some other kind of standard, right? So I don't think this particular afterlife is very likely. Why? It just seems too much like something some humans think up to get other humans to do what they want. It's your basic carrot and stick. You want to go to heaven? Well, you better be good then. Don't want to get all burned up and tortured for eternity? No problem, just do what I say. What God says. So, I don't know. It could be what happens, but it seems a little contrived to me. Reincarnation. While not the most likely afterlife option, in my opinion, it's still my favorite because I get back in the game. After I die, my soul, it floats off to some other vessel and I start again. I guess if you believe in reincarnation, you ought to consider that you might not come back as a human. You could be a worm, which sounds terrible at first, but how do you know? Have you been a worm? Probably not. I haven't been. Maybe it's pretty pleasant to be a worm. It could be like dirt, 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 dirt. Not dirt, not dirt, not dirt, not dirt, not dirt. Dirt, dirt. Play some video games like No Man's Sky, Red Dead Redemption, and you'll see we're getting really friggin' good at simulating reality. We've always had that urge. Even writing a book is creating an imagined reality, just using cruder tools. So really people have been making simulations for a long time and they just continue to get more and more convincing. If you strap some VR goggles onto a baby's head and you made that baby play Minecraft from day one, they have nothing else to look at. That baby's reality would be blocky mountains, 20-minute days, and little green dudes that explode. That's what they would know. So it seems not so far-fetched that the same trick was played on us. We're living in a simulation right now. If it's possible for us to create a fully immersive virtual reality with what we have today, then you have to consider that someone, maybe even us, already did it, and that false reality is what we're walking around in. So if we are simming, and death means an exit from that sim, what would we wake up to? There's so many ways it could go, but probably that one level up reality is not as good as this current reality, the sim that we're in, because people were motivated to create that simulation in the first place, so they were probably really bored or stressed out or something. I picture myself getting out of some tank, removing electrodes from me, then just taking a look around and probably getting right back in the tank to play the life game again. Now we're getting to the afterlife scenarios that I think are actually much more likely. So you're dead. You're laying in your coffin 6 feet under. Your blood's not pumping. There's no electricity or chemicals knocking around in your head. No signals from the outside world are coming through your eyes, ears, nose, mouth, or touch. But maybe, possibly, that is not the end of sensation. It could be like the moment when you're out in the wilderness, far away from any city lights, and you look into the sky, and you see a tremendously larger number of stars there because the other light's gone. And there's still going to be some kind of life down there in your old moldy bones. It just won't be unified like it was before. So maybe it feels like the big you disperses into a bunch of little yous. And the little pieces of you are valuable to other kinds of life. So maybe some of your nutrients help a flower or a tree grow, and those bits of you get assigned to being a flower or a tree. Now this is going to sound gross or weird, but maybe it's a pretty okay thing for worms to eat you. Dirt, 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 food. Then those little bits of you become part of the worm, and some of you gets to be a worm. Okay, it's not my favorite option, but yeah, this is probably it. This is probably what happens. When you're gone, that's the end of you. Game over. If you ever feel bad about that possibility, welcome to my club. On the plus side of this scenario, after you die, you don't have to do shit. Just kick back and stop existing. So that brings us to the end of the Afterlifes. Okay, wait, hold on. There's one more. Actually, this is more likely than all the other options I listed. 72% of you will be thrown into a swirling stew of dreams that power the collective consciousness of humanity. The remaining 28% will go to a purgatory run by highly intelligent cockroaches. These cockroaches teach you an alphabet of 10,000 characters and the language of gods. After mastering that, you write a love letter to a goblin named Todd, and Todd explodes, forming 17 new universes, and you get to choose which one you want to live in. You pick the one that smells like strawberries. Okay, I don't mean that this specific afterlife is likely. What I do think is that we're all pretty unqualified to figure out what's coming after we die, and whatever it is, it's very likely to be none of the options you or I think of. It's probably going to be something entirely different.